Oh my gosh, it's here. It's here. By golly, first ones of the, oh, hey. You ever feel like that old man coming to the party where you're about, I don't know, hour and a half late when you're getting ready to go do something, and you wonder, did you do the right thing showing up at all? Well, this is going to be a review on a new version of a really good iron. Let's see what that is. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary in the McGolf fitting room. And today, and the embargo has been lifted for a bit, I have got the ability to review an iron, the Wilson Staff. All right, the Wilson Staff. Now, why did I say all that stuff in the beginning? Well, it is the replacement of the FG Tour, or the FG6 Tour model, FG6 Tour. And the FG was synonymous with feel or feel good, whatever you want to call it. And it was for the better player, still is. And this was a very successful model. Why do I say old man? Well, it's been around for quite some time. I'm believing somewhere around 4 years now. And 4 years in the golf industry from a product cycle is like ancient, okay, is absolutely ancient. And that's not what we're looking for. We are looking for new stuff. Everybody's got to get tweaked up. Well, Wilson kind of runs to a different drummer anyway, and this was a good club. The staffers liked it. Everybody tended to like it, and they said, well, when we find something that we really need to do with it, then we'll do it. Jumper Gonde is the head of innovation. Call him what you will. He's basically a designer. And he has been doing an outstanding job over there with the improvement of the irons and what we'll see coming up in drivers. And so what do you do to make it better, right? What do you do something that's really good to make it better? Now, this is a forged club, a one-piece forged club, and a different method, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. However, what they've done is they've shown up with that. All right, just about as simple and clean as one can possibly stand, and it is just a good-looking club. Now, again, this is a player's club. This isn't one that you're going to go bash a 7-iron 200 yards for the average golfer. This is for the guy that's really elite that can go bash that 7-iron about 200 yards. All right, and that's what this is for. Now, what you'll notice some difference. We're going to kind of compare. You notice they both have there's a bit of a weight system down in here, and it's basically it's a cool way of making a muscle in a cavity back, because this is certainly what would fall in the category of a player's cavity. Not a player's distance, but a player's cavity. And what we'll see here also is that you see that we've got we'll call it the muscle or the diamond or whatever, and then a little bit of a support right there. And what all that's for basically is sound, okay? There's probably a little bit of support, but it's sound. And so we're gonna figure out if it's gonna be lower in sound or not. The other part is they move the tungsten around, all right? If you look at this one, see that little gray area? That's the tungsten. Now, typically when you see it right there, it's about ball get up in the air. And it'll move around. In the upper irons, you'll see it normally low, right? And in the middle irons, it might come up a little bit higher. And in the lowest irons, you probably won't see any at all, because they don't need any help at that point. In this particular instance, you see where the gray is here? They've put it all out in there, all right, all out in there. That is around 20 grams sitting right there. And what's that do? Well, that basically gives you it prevents the overcooking. It prevents the big draw or the big hook or whatever. We don't want to say the H word. And it prevents that. So the better players are more afraid of a big cut or a big draw than they are a baby cut or even a push off to the other side. And so that's what this is aiming at, for the better player to be able to pull this off. When we look at it from a specs point of view, it is very what we'll call traditional, right? It's in that same line as all the other player forged irons, right? The 6 iron's 30 degrees. all right? You're 27 degrees in the 5 and that kind of stuff. You're not going to see anything jacked up where the 6 iron is something as 25 or even more nowadays, right? These are for the guys that can really generate some club head speed, have good ball striking capability, and are throwing it out there. Now, it typically will come with the Dynamic Gold S300 and the traditional Tour Velvet, right? The Tour Velvet Golf Pride grip. That's standard issue. That's just basically a lot of old school. But what if it had a different shaft in it? Maybe we'll find that out. Alrighty, so that's what it all is. Now, the other thing that it comes to mind right now is it just has just a hint of offset, not much. And it's perceivable to the trained eye, but I wouldn't, it's not like you're going to hit, you're going to hit these hooks. It's not made for that guy. However, for those guys that are in this particular category and like blades, but maybe look for maybe a little forgiveness, say from maybe the 7 iron up, this set, I think, would blend in really, really good with the, with the blades. And so I think that's a combo set here is not unrealistic to the point I think it would be really, really good, particularly if you're not that super elite player. Now, if you have the, will it look a little bit out of dress? Yeah, I think so. I think the top line might be just a tick thicker, and I'm talking in less than a millimeter type stuff. However, the blade shape is different, where the blade is a little bit longer in its appearance, where this one's going to look a little taller and quite possibly more compact. But it should provide a little bit of a forgiveness for that particular player. So I've measured these guys. I went out and measured them. What did I find? Well, I found that the length's 37.5 inches long. My lie angle is 61 with a loft of 30 with a swing weight of D2 with a swing weight of D4. I don't have a spec sheet to go off of. I went and searched the internet, and it appears that that's the correct length, that's the correct loft, that's the correct swing weight, and it might be just a tick off on the lie angle. Not bad, right? That's pretty much better than a lot that I get in here. So it's right on. Now, I'm not a huge dynamic gold guy, only because it doesn't fit me, right? It doesn't mean that it doesn't fit a lot of people. This is the S300, and typically what I find with those is that they run right down the middle of the stiff range, the 5.5 for me. And it's just one of those kinds of clubs, right? It does that. And this one was just a hair higher. So we're going to have to move the club a little bit in order to get it out there. But certainly, again, they sent it out. The thing is almost spot on. It's like 98 out of 100. I'd take that all day. So, hey, let's see what they're going to hit like. Okay, what you're seeing here is the 6 iron with the S300 in it. I got 180 to 189 as a whole, which is good. Straight down the middle with a slightly less than 91 mile an hour swing speed. A 130 smash factor was pretty doggone good, and as a whole it's telling me I'm a fade. The other part was it's all hitting like my normal 6 irons, just not as far, and we'll talk of that later. If you see this right here, what you're looking at is the culmination of all the shots. It looks like a fan, but we'll see that here in a little bit. Now what I gave you is the very last shot, which is 184, 193, and not a bad shot. The one just before it, 189 to 198, quite possibly the best one. High smash factor, pretty good swing speed. All the way down to the very first shot, 173, 182. Again, hitting it not as good, but pretty doggone good. What you're seeing here is where I started out, picked up a little bit of speed, got used to the club, and just started hitting it way better. The smash factor and the what you call the spin rates were really, really good, especially for a forged player's iron. Not too bad at all. Now what you see here is my club head path finally got from this deep outside in, and the shaft looked like it was working for me pretty decent. Now you're seeing my grouping right here, and the grouping is pretty good, inside 5 yards on either side. And the last bit, again, showing you the last bit where the furthest ones were the earliest ones were some of the shortest, but still in one heck of a group for that far. Here we're looking at it one more time, and then we should be good to go. So how'd we do with that? That was actually hit pretty good, I think. The 6-iron went as long as any of the other player 6-irons as I've ever hit in the forged category right now. You know, it's keeping up with every single one, and to almost exactly in the same yards, and the pattern is exact same, and I was using a shaft that I'm not even comfortable with. So what does that say? This is a pretty good club head, man. It's a good look. That's a good look. It's also a great feel. You're going to hear that buttery soft term. You're going to hear, oh, it's super soft. I'm going to tell you it's solid. All right, this thing is hitting, and you just know exactly where you are on that face when you hit it, and it goes exactly where you want it to go. All right, I fully intend on taking this thing apart and putting a KBS graphite that I've used in the other ones, just to see what's going on. Now, you guys are like, well, 180 is not really that far. It's not meant to be that, right? This is a tour level. This is the stuff you're going to see in big swingers' bags. Now, let's say you're absolutely in love with this club and you want to hit a little further. Well, it's got enough sole on it, right? Enough right here that I'm thinking about jacking up aloft a little bit. You know, I wouldn't go any more than 2 degrees, and you're going to be right up in there. And I did that on another review on a club that I'm thinking about carrying. We're going to see all of a sudden this might change. And I did that, and it was a game changer, right? So 2 degrees, game changer. And this is a sole that will deal with that kind of change. It's wide enough to do that. So guys, if you're out there and you're in this kind of area and you're swinging about that swing speed and you're looking for something a little bit better and you don't want to go out and go spend crazy amounts of money, although I'm not going to say it's cheap, but by God, these things are a good buy, right? And they're well worth having. And they come with a gap wedge. Thank you, Wilson. Thank you, all those other companies that are coming out with gap wedges in these models, finally. And this is going to be a monster set, I believe. I think we're going to have a really good year with this one and their upcoming models that they've got. So we're under embargo numbers for the next series, but hopefully you liked it. Let me know what you think about these forged clubs and what Wilson's doing going forward, and let's see your scores go low.